kind of backfired on the...
That's why I think we really all need to understand AI. And like, this is a tech giant who was at a diversity conference showcasing their tool. Right? So there were no women in that room.
Welcome, ladies, to Spotlight Voices. My name is Natalia Nicholson. I am your host, and welcome, where we are featuring all of our keynote speakers from the top 100 most powerful Black Women Summit. It is going to be beginning in March, International Women's Month, from the 23rd till the 27th of March. We are bringing you 20 masterclasses every single day across 5 days, which gives us 100 master classes. Not only are we bringing you a masterclass, we are also bringing you engagement like you have never seen it before. All keynotes are going to be in front of a live panel, my co-hosts. And that means that we're going to be coming to you every day, and we're going to be giving you entertainment, tears. We're going to be showing vulnerability. We're going to be showing realness. And all keynote speakers will be delivering an amazing session, whether that's a fireside chat, a round table, a straight keynote, straight to you. And we're all going to be in the studio with our sponsor, Irie Jam FM. So without further ado, I would like to present to you one of our keynote speakers, Jennifer Turner. Jennifer, please tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Thank you so much, Natalia. I am Jennifer Turner, and I have worked in corporate America for many years. And I recently transitioned to the nonprofit world, where I am working as the program director of New Era Creative Space. In addition to that, I am a managing partner at Acoratech. And today I am so excited to talk with you about artificial intelligence, also known as AI.
Oh, I love it. Literally, before this podcast kicked off, Jennifer and I was talking, and I was saying to her, for those of you that know me, I believe very much in ownership. And one of the things that the top 100 most powerful Black Women Summit does is really a platform and a virtual stage for those that speak to teach to be on, and for those who are on their entrepreneurial journey that might be stuck or looking for help, vision or motivation can come and find women in their own image. And I feel like our advancement of taking ownership back, because ownership got taken from us from slavery, and throughout the decades, throughout the centuries, things have changed, but unfortunately systems haven't changed. And I feel like AI is going to have a major part, should I say, in us being able to have our own tables and not wait for seats at tables that we don't belong at. Okay, so I couldn't be more happier than to have Jennifer here talking to us about AI. And I love the way we forget it's artificial intelligence. So one of the questions that I'd love to ask you, Jennifer, is what do you want people to associate your name with in terms of AI? Like, how are you going to help women?
That is a really great question, Natalia. And so let's talk about artificial intelligence. And it's really, really important. And the reason it's important is it's a game changer. It helps us to save time. I'll give you an example of an artificial intelligence or AI assistant. Sometimes you'll be on a video conference and there'll be a window that pops up and it says AI. That's your AI assistant. They're there. They're taking notes. They're listening, and everything that's going on. They summarize it. And then after the meeting, remember we used to have to go and write up minutes, and then you have to send them out and ask, did I miss anything? Right? These AI notes, it records it. So it's all there. If anyone missed anything, It gives you a high-level summary, bullets, so anyone can glance to get an idea of what happened in the meeting, even if they're not there. And then it gives you the action items with the people who needs to do them. And it's not like you're even saying all this. You're having a conversation, and it's taking all of that information. All of the time it would take for you to do minutes after a meeting. How much time have you saved? If you think about that, I have to tell you with AI, when it really, I've used AI, and as I mentioned, I've had many years, in corporate America, in supply chain, procurement, communications, education, and using AI for, in different tools. But one time I just decided when we were looking at Acora Tech that I mentioned, which is an information technology company where we deliver amazing solutions to your hardest challenges. And I said, well, you know what, we need to do a case, right? For this. So I remember when I was working on my MBA, my Master's of Business Administration, and I wrote a business plan, right? And it took me days. I remember writing and writing, right? Well, I just had some information about Acora Tech, who we are, what we're doing, our vision. I plopped that into an AI tool, and it gave me a whole business plan. Oh, in seconds. In seconds, right? It took me hours to do that in business school. What took me hours in business school was only seconds to create a business plan. And then it said, hey, do you want the market strategy? Hey, do you want slides? What? Do you want a one-pager? I was like, it blew my mind. And I said, wow, what value that we have in AI. So it's definitely a way to save time.
Yeah.
So we should try it.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And I think, like I said, a lot of people have got some misconceptions. So if you're someone that maybe isn't using AI as much as you should be, you want to figure out, well, how can it save you time? This is definitely a keynote that you are going to want to attend without a shadow of a doubt. Jennifer, what is the moment, would you say, that really shaped you today as a leader? Like, what was that moment that made you feel like, you know what, I need other women to understand and know what a game changer AI is?
So let me give you a quick story. I love stories, right?
So
I was at a diversity conference, right? This is a conference that supported businesses, right, who are advocates for diversity. It was sponsored by two big tech 100, Fortune 100 companies, huge, and they did a great job, right? And they committed to diversity. And they were showing off many of their AI tools. But I happened to experience one, and they said, "Hey, come play with us." I love to play, right? And it happened to be an AI tool that could generate an image for you by you just describing something. So as a boxer, yes, I dabble in boxing. But don't laugh at me. I don't like to get hit and I don't like to hit, but I love the exercise regime and the community.
Okay, fair. Fair, but strange, but fair.
Right. So I said, well, can you give me some, a picture of a female boxer, right? And they put it in the system, and it resulted in female boxers, right? And the result was all white women.
I wasn't expecting you to say that because we all know that most boxers are black. Sorry.
Right? Global information. It was all white women. So then, and looking at, they looking at me like, oh shoot, we messed this is messed up. A black woman boxer, and so they were scrambling to find the right words. Then they put in women boxers, and then it was the same result, still all white women. So then they're trying to figure out a word, like, what should we put in here? So we're at a diversity conference. So I'm like, diverse women? and so they put diverse women, boxers, in there for the prompt. And then it was beautiful shades of all women except white women. So it excluded white women from diversity. So it's just, and then
that is funny though.
Right? it excluded, right? It's crazy, right? So anyway, they found one, I said, I want that image. And I got a black boxer who looked fabulous. And I got my picture. But what that made me think about is, who's putting that information in there? What is the source of the information that's in this tool that's not including all women as diverse women, white, Black, Asian, Latina? And that tells you what goes in, comes out. So that's why I think we really all need to understand AI. I think those who are really interested in it should pursue careers so that we can have diversity to those who are, feeding the information, into these AI tools and getting the right sources so it can pull from the right, sources that has trusted sources of information. And like, this is a tech giant who was at a diversity conference.
And it kind of backfired on the
showcasing their tool, right? So there were no women in that room. I just whoever programmed that, there weren't women in the room because they would have.
I love that story. I love that story. By the way, I'm probably going to retell it. That is so funny. It's the fact that you picked a sport that predominantly has Black people in it. That was the first brain for me. And then you put diversity in and it omitted a group.
Right.
But that does tell you a lot. Great story though, but I get the point. And we need as a community to understand more about it, how it's programmed, where it comes from, and more of the root issues. Because it is a time saver, like you went back and said in the beginning. It does do a lot for you, but then we do need to understand more about it. And not using it or saying that, it's going to take the world over, and some of the misconceptions there are about it, we need to be educated. So again, ladies, I urge you to make sure that you turn up to Jennifer's workshop. Jennifer, my next question is, when you hear most powerful Black women, what does power actually mean to you?
Wow, what a great question. That's loaded. Oh, so, I believe powerful. So the first two things that came to mind was kindness. My mother who loves, she raised us, right, to treat others as we want, to be treated, right? Family is important, right? Nobody's better than anyone. Because if you think about it, if you think you're better than someone, then that means somebody's better than you. There's nobody better than us. So there's nobody, we're not better than anyone. Nobody's better than us. And then I think about, man, I want to say my girl, excuse me, Michelle Obama.
No, my girl too. I think it's our girl when he was listening to this.
Our forever first lady, right? When they go low, you go high. And it's really, it's really hard now.
Yeah. I absolutely adore and love your answer. That fills my heart with just love and pride of what top 100 most powerful Black women even is. My next question is for you. What does ownership look like in your world right now? I think ownership is a big topic in the Black community. What does that look like for you right now?
Ownership. Wow. So ownership in terms of business, relationships, or
ownership in terms of business, and it could be outside, because within our community, I think ownership has been a big problem. Like when you look at pop culture is Black culture, and we don't really have any ownership in it. When I look at Black hair products, we are not at the top of the food chain for a multi-billion-dollar market sector that is targeting Black people. We are spenders, especially Black women. And, ownership just it can mean a lot of things to different people. So just wondering, like, what does it look like for you in your world right now? Even when it comes to AI, I think the example that you even shared with us is quite a beautiful example of ownership.
Yes. So I think ownership is really important, especially for Black women, right? And also, and particularly now, right? And it's a challenge. And I'm just to answer this question, I'm just going to go back, for a minute, because I think about from slavery, right, where slaves were in the field, right? And then you would think that now Black people would be the best farmers, right? We would have these major corporations. I mean, if you think about it, being in the fields with nothing, doing incredible work, and then, all of that was lost for many different reasons, right? Political, reasons. Also, lack of land ownership, so many different reasons, right? Then the same thing, then we have segregation, and Blacks are like, hey, we have our businesses and we are going to, we are, okay, we'll sell to Black people. That's fine. And we thrived. So many examples that we're still uncovering where Black people were doing so amazing. And then
Black Wall Street in Ohio.
Yes, Black Wall Street. Yes, our towns and everything were burned down because of that. I mean, I just think about that. But we are still here, right? We are still here. So that's what I see as ownership, right? Okay. It's tough because many of us do not have like come from money, right? Myself, I grew up in a New York City projects, the best childhood ever. I have amazing friends and family, right? So when we think about and yet, right, education is a differentiator, right? And then we can take that education and we can work different roles and then use that funds to start our own businesses. And so ownership, I think it is key, and I think it is important in whatever way we can, work to do that. So
I love that answer.
Did I answer your question?
It does. And remember, I do these podcasts all the time. And what was so special about what you said is that ownership can happen at any level. And even me, I'm guilty of it. When I think ownership, I do think corporations. I do think of it in a big, like a really large scale. But you're right. It starts from educating yourself. It starts from just wanting to be better and do better and putting yourself in a situation where you can own something. Even you've made me think about it completely differently. Even just being able to buy yourself a car outright is actually ownership, where a lot of people in the community have got their cars on finance. And sometimes you're right. You little by little, you build your power, and ownership starts. It's there from the beginning. So I actually love your answer.
Thank you.
And it even made me check myself. I'm so busy thinking about ownership at a high level. Does that make sense? I'm not thinking about, okay, what are we doing to help ownership of cars so we're not having finance on a depreciating asset?
Yes.
What are we doing to help to make sure there's ownership of owning your own home? There's ownership on like day-to-day living. So that was a brilliant answer. And again, like I said, it's made me check myself. So thank you.
You made me think about that too. So not only ownership of your own home and your own car, ownership of your 401k plan or your 403b or whatever retirement plan that you have. Shoot, ownership of your pension for those who have them. So let's think about
because many members of our community don't have pensions. I've had family deaths lately of like young people that didn't have a funeral plan, and like the cost of the funeral and it's even ownership of your own death. It's that deep.
Ooh, yes, ownership. That's right. Life insurance for, and even ownership of the plan. My priest, former priest, always tells me you have to have a plan, right? For
if
your
you
loved
don't
ones.
have a plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
So my next question is, what is one narrative about Black women you are committed to changing through your work?
So when you say narrative, like a negative narrative, is that what you mean?
No, just like, what is the one
Change?
narrative? What is the one thing that you're committed to making sure that you change with your work that you're doing with AI, like to your audience? What's the one thing that you're committed to? So I guess if I was to give it an example, I always say I'm committed to making sure that 1 million women globally start their own businesses. I mean, it could easily outlive me, I hope, but in terms of the mission of what I've set up helping Black female entrepreneurs, I want to make sure globally that we do enough work to empower and help educate 1 million Black women to start their own business. So just in terms of what you're doing, like, what are you committed to changing through your work?
Yes, so that is really a good question, and I love your goal of
big,
really having all of
and
these
it doesn't have to be that big.
No, I love it because you only have the goal and you're living it, by this whole summit that you've pulled together. So to change the narrative, I think in terms of changing the narrative, one of the things I think about is my niece, who does have her own small business, right? Because she's doing what she loves. She's making cakes. And I think it's really the creativity, because she makes all these different types of, designs on it. And I remember we were having a conversation and we introduced her to AI. And oh my goodness, she was just so, it blew her away, right? Like I mentioned, like the first time I experienced something that would have taken me hours, that took me seconds, to do, she was just like, wow. And now she's going to share it, right?
Yeah.
So as many people that I can to just go out and try it. It doesn't bite. It's not going to hurt, to try it. There's not going to be any, ramifications. What it can do, though, is so many different things. So there may be some who are trying it. Well, keep trying it, keep doing it, right?
Keep doing it, and I love that as well. It's about you're committed to really making sure that even if you haven't used it, you've got a thought and opinion, just try it. And making sure as many women try it and as many people try AI as possible, which is a game changer within itself. It really is. I absolutely love that. So what challenge, Jennifer, have you faced that people would never guess? And how did you move through that? Yeah, this is the big one. Then we're going to go for a quick fire chat after this.
Ooh, what big challenge have I faced and people may have never
guessed that about you?
Well, this is a good one. We were kind of talking about this, and look, I love talking to people. I love speaking at conferences. I've spoken on 5 of the 7 continents. I love that saying as an international speaker. And I think some would be surprised when I would say that sometimes I feel anxious about speaking in public. And it's called like the imposter syndrome. That's one of the symptoms. So I think people would be surprised. And I keep, learning more, and I keep growing. And communications is one of those things really that you really have to continue to hone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So let me tell another quick story, because I love telling stories.
Right? And I love hearing the story as well.
So, I didn't realize this, but this was the time when I was I was in corporate America, and my career was stalled, and I had these 2 great mentors who became my sponsors, and I didn't even realize that I had to be fixed. So what happened was I was not being my authentic self. And I didn't realize that. And they would say that to me, like, and I don't know what I looked like now. I often think, oh my goodness, I don't know what I looked like when I was speaking to, these guys. But essentially, they said, you're just not being authentic. And if, right, they said this to me a few times. I didn't get it until one of the VPs, we were on a video conference, and she just left the conference. She hung up on me. Yeah, that was like, whoa.
As you see my face.
So I got the point. So then I reached out on internal messaging, direct messaging, and she said on Slack, if some of you know that tool. And then I was like, well, what's going, why did you hang up on me? And she said, well, you're not being authentic. And I didn't know what she meant, right? I didn't really get it.
Could have found a more of a polite way, though.
But it wasn't the first time, and she wasn't the only one. And, so it's a good ending. So anyway, what happened was then I realized that I wasn't being authentic. She told me a story about herself the same way, but I couldn't resonate with it because she was saying how, she's a white woman, and she said how, white men at the company, she just felt like it was like her dad, and she just treated them like her dad. And I'm like, well, my dad ain't white, it just wasn't, it didn't resonate.
Yeah, it wasn't clicking.
But I'm glad she shared that with me. So I had to go find my fix. And for some reason, I was always so filtered. I guess I wanted to say the right thing and, not, say the wrong thing. So I came off looking, like I wasn't authentic. I was confident, I was, sure of myself, but it wasn't like me. And anyway, so I went and talked to other people about it. One of my friends, she yelled at me. She said, she lifted me up, telling me how great I was. And then she said, look, what do you think you're going to say? But I realized I had to fix me. And, after soul searching, I realized that I was just really filtering myself too much. And then I had to just breathe, speak, slower, put my shoulders back, and just, really,
made
if
me
there was something I thought about, right? I just have to relax, and then, and so when I did that, I was just like, wow, I'm being, me. And then I went back to them, and, it was like fight or flight, right? I was either going to go ball up in a corner and say, hey, I don't know what they're talking about, or really work through it. I had some therapy in there too, just really trying to figure it all out. And what that did for me was I became more authentic. And after that, I was promoted 2 additional levels in the company. So it is amazing by those sponsors who cared enough, who were kind enough, even with the hanging up, because that got my attention.
Yeah, I get that, because sometimes as well, feedback can be tough, and we don't always take feedback well. And sometimes it's hard to know how to deliver feedback. But you're right, actually, feedback is a way for you to improve and get better. But thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that story. Like, that just showed your vulnerability right here with me on the podcast. And hopefully everybody watching can see how powerful that is, because no one likes to be told something, that they're doing something wrong, or something they're not translating, or it can be a tough pill for a lot of us to swallow, and it can affect your confidence. It can affect who you are. And it's actually quite a nice segue. Those of you that are listening, Jennifer's actually also going to be running a session all around imposter syndrome. And I think there's a lot of things many of us have gone through that, it isn't a nice feeling. Also, it's almost a feeling of shame. And then you do have to look within yourself and say, okay, if I keep hearing this, maybe I need to fix it. And it takes a big person to admit that. Like, I know that I've struggled with feedback in my younger days of always wanting to be right. Like you said, you kind of emulate, you want to show up being this best version. When you're younger, you don't really embrace mistakes. And then when you're told, that you're making a mistake, you can take it really harshly, especially if you're not used to it. And if you keep ignoring it, the only person's growth you're stomping is yourself. And, thank you for sharing that. Like, I often look back at like my career when I graduated, and up to this day, I don't feel like I gave a lot of roles my full self, and I wasn't really focused on them because I was too focused being, Miss Party Girl, just focus on the wrong things. Like when you come from a community, like, in America, you might call it projects. Here in England, we might call it, inner city estates. You think the world is just your surrounding, and you live in a goldfish bowl, but you don't realize that you're in a goldfish bowl. So being someone that was like one of the first to go university, you're in that environment. Sometimes the ego can get the better of you, if that makes any sense. And you're not really as focused as you should be. And it's only now that I'm older that I can admit all of those shortcomings and take them for what they are and learn and grow. So I thank you for sharing that story, because many of us, when we're put on a spotlight and we're not made to feel very nice, we can run away from it. And actually facing it and saying, okay, I'm getting that feedback. How do I fix that? That takes a big person, and to fix it, your vulnerability just shows here with me. So thank you. And I hope a lot of people connect with that as well, just in terms of being through things that might not have felt nice at the time, but, you address them. Yeah. And maybe some of you are thinking, actually, I've got some things that I want to address. So, make sure you check out Jennifer's name on the program, because it's not just actually the AI workshop that she'll be running. She'll also be talking about imposter syndrome as well. So thank you. So, Jennifer, as we wrap up today, we're going to do the quick fire round, is what I call it. All right. Okay. So I'm going to say a sentence, and I want you to just finish the sentence for me. Okay? Okay. So here we go. One belief black women must release to rise faster is... So there's one belief black women must release, let go of, to rise faster.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with another one.
Okay.
We're going to start with another one.
Oh, no, let's do that. No, let's do it again. I got it.
Okay, you got it? Okay, let's do it again. One belief black women must release to rise faster is...
fear. False evidence appearing real.
Yeah, love it. My power increased when I
realized that I am enough.
Ooh, love it. Last one. One thing I want black women to remember about their voice is...
you have one. Use it.
Love it. Yeah, we have all got a voice.
We have one.
Jennifer, where can people connect with you? Where can they find you? What should they look out for in terms of what you're doing next?
Please check me out on LinkedIn so you can hear all about the fabulous and amazing things I do in many roles. And check out acortech.com to learn about all of our AI and information technology offerings, where we will be able to take on your toughest challenges and find a solution for you. Thank you.
Absolutely love it. Jennifer, you've been absolutely amazing. And I have to say, I love your storytelling. I absolutely love your storytelling. I thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, and the stories I heard about you from experiencing, feedback, how you made yourself better, your nieces, the AI, the diversity tools. I just loved all the stories that you showed up with here today.
Thank you.
So I've got no doubt that your keynote is going to be absolutely amazing. And awesome. Engaging as well with the stories. So everyone, please make sure that I was just about to say, make sure you check out the link to the tickets. If you haven't got a ticket to the event, please make sure that you register for a ticket to the event. Make sure you share it. This summit is about a mission. We are building a platform. We're building a platform where speakers will be sharing, entrepreneurs can come on, and a platform that we can use to be visible as Black female entrepreneurs. So don't just get a ticket for yourselves. Make sure you share it. Jennifer, my darling, I look forward to seeing you the week of the summit, International Women's Month, 23rd of March to 27th of March, and I can't wait.
Same here. Thank you so much for this opportunity and this conversation. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you.